Hey there clan, Scotch182 here, and I'm getting this right out here already because I know I'm going to get like a dozen questions in the next day or so. Going to ask me to talk about what Bioware said at PAX. Now I am going to do a special Warriors Geeky News sometime this week, talking about any news that I found interesting at PAX. Now if there's anything you want me to talk about at PAX, just send me a link to a video or an article and I'll have a look at it. If I find it interesting enough, I will talk about it in the PAX edition of the Warriors Geeky News. I really wish I was there, I'm not going to lie, but I wanted to talk about this because I know I'm going to get 100 questions about it and asking me to talk, and I really do feel sorry for like someone like MD who is going to get an absolute thousands of fucking questions asking her to talk about this, but I'm getting out there right now. So I'll beat her to it. I always beat her to it. I'm the best at this. Well, I don't have to edit, so. But yeah, here's what's happened. Bioware came out and done a whole Mass Effect retrospective video, which is absolutely fantastic. Really, really heartfelt going back and looking at a lot of those games. I would recommend going and checking it out. I did tweet it and Facebook it, but I will leave a link in the description for you to go and check it out. It's an absolutely fantastic video, and I hope that you find it entertaining as well. And if you haven't seen it already, I did do a full video on my own retrospective called The Warriors Reflection on the Mass Effect series, which Karen from Bioware, I believe, actually I tweeted it to her, saw, and she said it was amazing, and I was like, oh god, heart attack. But if you want to go and check it out, I'll leave an annotation or a link to it in the description if you haven't seen it. But what I'm going to be talking about is, like, I'm not going to talk in full about the retrospective because all it really was they showed this little wallpaper that they made that showed, like, all the decisions people made, like, the most popular squad mate, some choices here or there. Like, the most popular squad mate, you'll never believe it, is fucking Liara, which I was like, yes! Blue for the win! Oh, that was awesome. I love that. Actually, even though Renegade is very popular, Paragons actually primarily support everything. Like, Paragon is out there. Paragon is like 76%, I think it was, and that's absolutely sad because I'm a Paragon. I'm a full Paragon, and my Shepherd is a full Paragon, which is Paragon. So Paragon for life. That's me, but I'm a Renegade in the sheets. I'm sorry, I had to get that out there. I do apologise. That's just, I love that little saying. I'm a Paragon in life, but I'm a Renegade in sheets. In the sheets. In the sheets. It sounds like I'm saying shits. It's sheets. S-H-E-E-T. Sorry, rambling again. And I love that. They actually did discuss in a wee panel, and if I can, I'll leave a link to that in the description, but you've probably seen it already. It's absolutely funny, and they did talk a wee bit about what they want to see for the next Mass Effect game. Like, Shepard's story is over. I know a lot of people go, say, we want to see Shepard again, we want to see Shepard again. Shepard's story is done. As of the Citadel DLC, Shepard's story is completely and utterly finished. For me personally, the Citadel DLC is my ending. Like, the little bit where it goes, the best, that is my ending. That is the ending. I don't play beyond that, because that's the ending that I want for my Shepard. I don't want anything else. That's how my Shepard's story ends. Any of my Shepard's story ends as soon as he says, the best. That's where that story is. If I were thinking about that, it makes me tear up already. They did say that, of course, for those who don't know, the Mass Effect, working on the next Mass Effect game has actually been moved from Edmonton to the Montreal studio, I believe, if memory serves me, which means it's not getting made by the same people, but it's still being made by the same company. The heads of that, like the executive producers, are staying the same, and they're going to be talking about like what the next game should entail. And as I say, they didn't say a lot, but I'm going to give some ideas of what I'd like to see for the next Mass Effect game, of course. First thing, of course, it has to have nothing to do with Shepard. Like, I know I'm dying to see, like, does Shepard live at the Destroyer ending, but we all know that most likely Shepard is dead. He gave his life, and, well, my ending's the best, but, but they did say that they are wanting to branch out and maybe do something completely different with the Mass Effect license. Now, as is, what would I like to see? I would like it if they, like, a lot of people are saying, what about going in the past? Like, I don't want that. I'm going to be honest, like, going to the past seems like the easiest option for Bioware because there's so many options for the endings that you can't, well, not really so many options, there's 3. Yeah, I don't want them to go to the past, but that probably might happen, give or take, depending. Well, I would like to see if they skipped a couple of centuries or even 1,000 years to ensure that everyone who was around during Shepard's time is basically dead. Like, they're all dead. That's basically it. Like, If they were to go 1,000 years in the future, the only characters who could possibly live that long, who would make sense if they were to see like go a couple hundred years in the future, the only characters we'd probably see would be the Asari and Krogan ones like Grunt, Liara, and Rex. Those are the most likely the ones we would only see if they skipped a couple of centuries. Most likely all of our other squad mates would be dead, which in my opinion would actually be the best thing. I don't want any returning squad mates in the next Mass Effect game. I want Mass Effect, whatever the hell they call it, we'll just say 4 for the moment, to not be a continuation of Shepard's story. I want it to be a completely different story. And I don't want it to be exactly like Shepard. I don't want like a universal ending threat like the Reapers. I don't want the Reapers 2.0. What I would like to see is a much more personal story, but also maybe much more, and not as impactful or as powerful as the Reapers, but maybe something that shows that after the Reapers, life did change, unfortunately. Like, it all depends on what ending they go with, because you know Bioware are going to have to pick an ending that they have to make canon from now on. Now, the odds are they'll either go with the refusal ending, which I highly doubt it, or the destroyer ending. The destroyer ending would probably be the most easiest for them to go with, because the synthesis and control endings are probably endings that they probably couldn't adapt well enough into another game. Like if they would do a synthesis, they would probably have to have every race be a hybrid between synthetic and organic, and that's a lot more trickier than maybe doing the destroyer ending. The destroyer ending probably seems the most possible one, in my opinion. Now, as I was saying, I would like it to be a bit more personal story. Like, I would like it if maybe, like, instead of having like a big evil like the Reapers, what about just having something along the lines of maybe after the Reaper and the Destroyer, and we'll use that as a template, that after the Reapers, maybe the council of races, like all the races who are under the Citadel Council, maybe split off into 2 different factions. Maybe there's one faction over here, we'll just call it the, let's pick a name at random, I'm just picking something random, the Gears section. I'm sorry, Gears of War's down there, just popped in my head. The Gears Alliance, maybe. There's something like that. The Gears United or something. The United Gears or something. And another branch which was simply called the Alliance of Races. And maybe the two of the factions aren't on good terms, and maybe they're on the brink of war, or maybe they already are at war and have been for a couple of 100 years, or maybe even a couple of decades. And they've been fighting and all that, and your character is either stuck in the middle or comes from one of the 2 factions and actually has to maybe broker peace between them or something along those lines. Or maybe there's maybe there's a massive empire threatening the council race after it's rebuilt, and you have to try and stop it. Something along those lines. I'm not a good story writer, sorry. That's just what pops into my head. That's what I would like to see, and that's just was of course advancements in it. But I know a lot of people guys, but what about these previous games? What about them? Like, what I think would be best would probably be if they did reference the other games, but not too much. Like if Liara and Rex and Grunt are still there, maybe you could bump into them. Maybe Liara has become, since basically the Asari were all but wiped out, and maybe she's became the matriarch of all Asari. Maybe she's like the queen or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I don't know. Maybe she's the matriarch of the Asaris. Maybe she helped guide them into a new light, and she's the leader of the Asari. And your character bumps into her and she explains like what the situation is, and then maybe at that point, if you're curious enough, you could ask like maybe she'll tell you stories of Shepard or something. Like, also if you can import your save, which would only really work on the PC version, maybe she'll say maybe she has kids, maybe their Shepard's kids are there, because maybe we did get a Blue Children. If Rex became, of course, the fucking leader of the Krogan, and Grunt maybe is his right-hand man, and then after that, I would say I'd want little references here or there, like maybe we find out what happened to our previous squad mates, like what happened to Garrus. Maybe Garrus became the patriarch of his race, of the Turians, maybe, or was it the Primarch, sorry, of the Turians. Maybe he became that, because that might have been leading to, which I don't think it would. That's not Garrus, he's not a politician. Maybe Tali helped reestablish the homeworld a lot better, and if you romanced her, then same with Garrus, something along those lines came along. Maybe Samara passed away peacefully, and her daughter, who, if she lived, actually became the new adjust the car in their own rights and stuff. There's something along those lines, little things like that, not massive important things to the plot of the next game, but something along those lines. Maybe the diary of Shepard or something along those lines. I don't know. There are too many variables. I really hope that Bioware just see that Shepard's story ended at Mass Effect 3, and Mass Effect 4, or whatever they decide to call it, is the beginning of a new story. And the beginning of a new franchise. Not a new franchise per se, but a new story. Sort of like along the lines of Star Trek. Like once the original series of Star Trek was done, they moved on to the next generation, where it was a new cast, new crew members, a new ship, and something along those lines. Like Star Trek is the best example. Star Trek has survived decades, and that's because it keeps reinventing itself with each generation of Star Trek. Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I know it wasn't that great, but give me a break. It was actually alright. I liked it. Enterprise, and by the way, I liked Enterprise. I don't get why people hate it. I do know why people hate it. But something along those lines, like reinventing themselves. Not completely, like still sticking to the core lore of Mass Effect, but branching out and making it a bit more universal in a way. It's the best way I can put it. I would love to see that. I'm going to be honest. I really would. And I think that could work out for the best. If that's what they've done, where they went out 100 years or so, and a couple 100 years into the future, and just start anew, basically, with some references to the previous games, because Star Trek, at each generation, does actually reference other previous Star Trek ones, of course. They do make references for the fans, and that's what Mass Effect 4 should be, in my opinion. That's what I'd like to see, okay? I'd say my final Bioware game, basically keep me as a loyal fan, is Dragon Age 3. So, if Dragon Age 3 is a massive fucking flop, I will not be getting Mass Effect, whatever the hell they call it, on release date, unless it fucking blows my mind and I have to get it. And I guarantee I'm probably going to cave at that point. I'm going to be like, oh, fuck it, I have to get it. Because I know I'm going to. I'm not going to lie, I'll probably will. But I don't want to see this Mass Effect game next year or the year after that. I want Bioware to take their time and get this game out maybe in 2016. In fact, fuck that, 2015. 3 years is enough. It's been a year since Mass Effect 3, so let's just say get it out by the end of 2014 or the beginning of 2015 would be an ideal time slot for me personally, because that means they've had plenty of time to work on this and get it right. And that's all I really want to see, is that they're pulling away from Shepard and trying to make a new story. Like maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll do it like that. 1, 2, and 3. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 was Shepard's story. Mass Effects 4, 5, and 6, and whatever there was, will be another character's story, or maybe a standalone story. I would like that. And of course, there's one other thing. I would love it if we could play other races. I would love to play an Asari. I would love to play a Turian. I would love to play a Krogan. I would love that, but as I say, it's unlikely because they'll probably stick to humans because they're the easiest. I would prefer if they did allow you to pick your race, but doubtful that's going to happen. And the Bioware did also talk about a new IP that they're working on, a new intellectual property. It's basically, apparently it's going to be completely new. It's something that they can't talk about, of course. And I'm interested, like, it's Bioware, a new IP from Bioware that isn't Dragon Age or Mass Effect. That actually does sound interesting, and I will keep my ears out about what it could possibly be. Could it be maybe a Western-style RPG? Which I'm pretty sure I know someone who would love that. Maybe it'll be I don't know, maybe it'll be I really would hope the Bioware did branch out and go into other franchise, other universal time slots, away from the fantasy maybe, and more into maybe the away from the sci-fi, and maybe more into the modern day, maybe a gangster RPG. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what Bioware do. I have a little faith in them with a new IP, and I do wish them all the best with it. So in the comment section down below, let me know what you would like to. Let me know what kind of IP you would like to see from Bioware. I'm going to be honest. I would love them to bring back the Jade Empire franchise, because that is a franchise that I absolutely adore, and is still, there's only one Jade Empire game, and I think it's such a rich and vast universe in the Jade Empire that they could easily make a sequel, but it's a new IP, it's not a revival of Jade Empire. So let me know in the comment sections about your opinion on all those topics, basically. What would you like to see for the next Mass Effect game, or what would you like to see as a new IP from Bioware? I would love to maybe bring them back Jade Empire, but that's not going to happen. Maybe they'll bring back maybe they'll do a Western RPG, which would be interesting. I'd love to see that. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below about the whole thing. Like, what would you like to see in the next Mass Effect game, but also what would you like to see from Bioware as a new IP? I know I would love to see a Western and a revisal of Jade Empire. I would love it if they'd done a Eastern style RPG. In fact, that's it. An Eastern style RPG. That is what I want Bioware to do. I want them to do a martial arts RPG like Jade Empire. Not like, if it's a new IP, I completely understand that, but I want an Eastern RPG. I want an Eastern style martial arts RPG. Bioware, please, I'm begging you. I'll get on my fucking knees for that. I would kill for that. That would sounds awesome. But definitely let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm Scottish182. I'll see you all later. Ciao for now.